Morning, Joe.
Hey Sherman, how are you?
Doing great, thanks. And how about yourself?
Good. Busy, but it's a good busy. And we just keep churning out good news at Santa Ana. So I just continue to be bullish and I'm having fun doing it.
Awesome. I'm here with Chief Executive Officer Joe Hebert. He's the CEO of Outcrop Silver and Gold. As many of our listener knows, Outcrop Silver and Gold is one of our top picks in the silver space. I've been fortunate to be working with Joe over the last couple of years on helping develop this story in the market. And I guess, Joe, just to start off, before we get into sort of the recent updates on Outcrop, we've often highlighted with our investors to really focus on companies that have high quality management, high quality projects, and that are available at the right price. So obviously, Outcrop Silver and Gold is one of those companies. Otherwise, we wouldn't be chatting today. But I think what would be really interesting, the more and more time I spend with Joe, the more I realize, how knowledgeable Joe is in the silver and precious metal space. And I really wanted to tap your knowledge, Joe, as to what you see going on with silver. I mean, we're trading below $20 US currently on the silver price. I don't think that's sustainable. And it might even, that could change really quickly, but we're just still slightly below $20 US. So I wanted to get your views on what the opportunities are for investors and why you like silver. And I guess somewhat related to that is, I've really been trying to develop my awareness in intelligence when it comes to silver. And I don't think investors fully appreciate how broadly used silver is, not only as a precious metal, in other words, just a little bit investing 101. I mean, as a store of value, silver always has had a certain amount of economic value because it's a safety storage asset. But also, silver's got these remarkable industrial uses. And so does gold. I mean, if we look at our cell phones or connectivity because it doesn't corrode or it doesn't erode. And maybe so I'm going to hand it over to you to give us a little bit of a silver play and what you think of silver and why it's trading at this low price. And then from there, we'll start talking about Outcrop.
I think silver is in the same macroeconomic situation that gold is. I honestly can't say why. It sort of doesn't seem to fit the picture, especially with respect to fiat currencies, except for the fact that I think just in the last month, 2 months, the national banks or the larger banks have actually been acquiring silver, Federal Reserve banks, and I think that has to be a reflection of perceived instability due to inflation with commodities. I think they're kind of a bellwether of what's going to filter down to the rest of the market to see that silver is a good investment. I also think that the gold, of course, has an industrial component too, but not nearly as much as silver, percentage-wise of the market or the market buy. And that's going to be a rapidly increasing part of the use of silver. As an industrial component, I think it'll increase in use actually faster than copper, especially as it relates to electric vehicles and solar panels. And then I also think that I think when the valuation of gold does become more rational again to the market and with respect to especially inflation, is that silver will actually move faster. People have always had sort of a standard ratio of gold to silver. And if gold goes to 2,000 again, which has been there, silver should go to $30 plus. I don't see why I certainly can't say when, and be cautious of advice from a geologist. But I do think that we have some real potential for growth.
Well, and just from a if you have to worry about geologists, think about us capital market guys. But typically I think it's true, and I mean, and don't not 100% quote me, but usually silver is about 1/30th the value of gold over,
Right.
whatever 1,000 years that
Right.
we've been kicking around here. And, so that would imply about a $50 price of current
Yeah, I didn't
price
want to
for
look
silver.
insane, but yes.
Yeah. So at $2,000 gold, man, we're looking at, if we had those 1/30th, we're about 150. And, there's some analysts that will just get right on YouTube and say silver's going to $100. Well,
Right.
I don't, so clearly what you're saying, and I agree, is there's a huge amount of upside, not only from the ratio of gold to silver, there's a discount for whatever reason. And typically those things tend to come back to the averages, but also what you're saying is because of electrification and because of when you change transportation, you change everything. The demand for silver is also going to go up. So that's almost like a double dip, wouldn't it be?
Yeah, I think so. And that also relates back into Outcrop silver and gold is you want that silver exposure, and you in particular want it with a company with a high grade project, high grade asset, which we're about to produce before the end of the year. And I think we have even just with the inspection of weighted average grade of the drill results, you can see it coming. But I think when we do produce a resource before the end of the year, I think we'll be in the upper 75th percentile, upper 25th percentile of silver by grade. I think that we'll be chasing on the coattails of Silvercrest Las Chispas, and we'll be better than 14 or 15 other primary silver companies around the world, or mines around the world. Excuse me.
That's incredibly important. Like, I just want to highlight that with even myself, like, and for investors to be fully aware that Outcrop, with a $50 million market cap, with a known deposit, or the known deposit in the making, with this resource estimate coming up, I think that's going to be a major inflection point. And, that's what got us attracted to Outcrop was the quality of the people that were involved, but also the underlying asset. And, this isn't like, this is the real thing.
Yeah. And, you're starting to see it on several platforms, compares our resource expectation with Vizslas, Panuco, and I'd say again, Silvercrest Las Chispas is, the conversation now is starting to it's starting to talk about a re-rating for us, especially since, we're sort of right now where it's sort of a subjective valuation. When they know we have a discovery, they know it's good, but when we produce a resource, we'll have a strong metric evaluation, which will be, 50 million silver equivalent ounces times some respectable dollar per ounce EV or market value. So I think the math's going to look good.
Well, maybe just touch on just an update or a reminder as to where you are in Colombia. I mean, Colombia is one of the top ranked jurisdictions in South America. And maybe just highlight how important this region is for silver in Colombia.
Yeah, the thing about Colombia in general is that the endowment is just, if you want to compare it to Chile or Peru or Argentina, it's like those countries 50 years ago because of the insurgencies. And now the insurgencies are pretty much wrapping up with accords with the government and joining the government. You can't beat being in Colombia for what I would call low risk projects. I don't even call them exploration projects. I call them internally discovery projects, because that's essentially what they are. I mean, we look for outcropping mineralization and then we drill. We have a fair idea of what we have coming as a preview before the drilling, just because what we can see at surface. And then the unique thing about Santa Ana in particular is, one, it is by far the richest silver camp and largest silver camp in Colombia. Silver camps are usually a mix with a higher mix with gold, with silver as a secondary mineral. And also, with respect to the government, there was a little bit of people were holding their breath somewhat to see how the Petro government would turn out, but he's turning out actually with some very favorable statements. And one in particular is Colombia and the Petro government wants to participate in the green economy, whether that's imported metals to other countries to use or to use it internally. So it's almost and he has probably stated it more clearly than a lot of the previous administrations like Duarte and Uribe. So on a functional level, I think Colombia is making a good turn with respect to the attractiveness of silver, and in particular silver underground mining with strong community support, which is what we have.
Well, great update, Joe. I mean, it really leads us to know that we should be buying silver as investors, and we should also be buying high quality companies like Outcrop, which really, the stock market offers the opportunity to come in and just become a shareholder in a great story like Outcrop. And so I really thank you for your time. And maybe just to close out, Joe, just any last comments from you and maybe some sense of what the news flow looks like over the next couple months.
Yeah, we're kind of we're a little bit in the nuts and bolts stage of resource delineation. And so that by definition is more the marginal parts of these shoots. So we've had a little less, exciting things to talk about. But this Maris shoot, we're waiting on some substantial number of assays, I think 9 assays for the shoot. But just based on visual mineralization, it looks like we're going to have some of our deepest mineralization to date. And it looks like it's going to be high grade. And even for this drilling, Maris averages 1.65 meters in true thickness at 1.2 kilograms equivalent silver per ton.
Wow.
What's extremely nice about that is you can actually do optimized stopes long hole down to 1.5 meters. So you're not talking about a substantial amount of internal dilution. You're just talking about mine dilution at a 1.5 meter long hole stope, and still, having 840 grams of that 1.2 kilograms. So it's just very continually exciting developments for the project, especially as we come to the resource.
Those are great numbers. And just for some of the techie people on here, how does the recovery and look on that kind of stuff?
We haven't actually announced the recovery, but what we can talk about the preliminary recoveries, and basically they don't look like they could be much better. Wow. It's we suspected it for quite a while, and we did some crush tests previous to the Met, and we found that almost 100% of the gold is free. It's going to be very amenable to either gravity or cyanide, and it looks like other than, well, we get some flashy electrum, which is 70-80% silver, but it's only about 3% of the mineralization by mass, and otherwise it looks like by inspection that a simple argentite silver sulfide is going to be 88% of the silver by mass. So it's I don't want to say it's going to jump out of the rock, but it's going to be, I suspect, just from what we know from visual observation and some very simple tests, not net tests to the degree of compliant resource. I don't want to say that, but anyway, it looks very good.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for taking the time this morning, Joe. We look forward to the future news and buy silver.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, we should have some news flow imminent. So.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Have a great day, Joe, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Same to you, Sherman. It's always a pleasure. Bye-bye.